Good evening and thank you for being with us. It's an extremely rare occurrence in Northern Ontario, a meteor strike in a populated area.
Neighbors on Highway 61 were startled by the loud noise at around 11 o'clock last night. The impact left a small crater on the side of the highway. And now, city police and geology professors from Lakehead University are searching for the actual meteorite, which seems to have disappeared. Jonathan Wilson reports.
It scared me quite a bit. I came running out of the house and running around trying to figure out what was going on.
Highway 61 resident Lino Cancelier says he's never heard anything like it. A meteor tearing through the atmosphere and crashing to Earth right outside his front door.
Just a really loud explosion about 11 o'clock. Just getting ready to go to sleep and heard this horrendous explosion. And first thing that came to mind was, acetylene or gas leak in the shop or something like that exploded. And came out, looked around, nothing. And next thing you know, fire was here and police looked around and they found a site on the side of the highway that a meteorite had hit.
And at that time there was indication that the houses shook from something striking the ground. And when they attended, they saw a large mass, stone that had impacted the side of the ground by the highway.
This is a photo taken by city police at the scene Wednesday night, which shows some small pieces of debris inside a crater about 2 feet in diameter. Inspector Alan McKenzie says their officers collected a few samples from the impact site, but left the main chunk of the potential meteorite behind, and now it's gone.
Later today, we contacted Lakehead University to inspect the evidence, and it appears that the rock has been removed from where it landed.
If we could actually see something, it would be pretty exciting, yeah.
Stephen Kisson is a retired geology professor from Lakehead University who has been associated with working with meteorites for the past 40 years. He says there have only been 70 confirmed meteorite discoveries in Canada, including a 3-kilogram meteorite discovered on a farm in the Rainy River area 17 years ago.
This would be if this turns out to be a meteorite, would be the first investigated fall in actually Northern Ontario.
The potential strike happened at the same time as the Geminids meteor shower, which can be seen around the world at this time every year. Kisson and fellow geology professor Shannon Zervinsky are planning to examine the debris recovered by police in their lab on Friday to see if there are any fragments of a meteorite.
Well, so far it looks pretty interesting. It looks like definitely something impacted here. It's not just an arbitrary hole in the ground, and there is a little sign that perhaps one of the pebbles in the hole here was a bit abraded by something. But also the local resident here reported hearing a loud noise, which would be consistent with the atmospheric entry of a meteorite.
City police say whoever picked up the meteorite would be entitled to keep it, but they're asking that person to contact the LU Geology Department so that the specimen can be scientifically examined. Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
A new program at Grace Place on Simpson Street is trying to fill the gaps in the city's homelessness epidemic and put a roof over the heads of Thunder Bay's less fortunate. The provincial and federal governments are providing funding for the Out of the Cold pilot project to create 10 emergency beds for people unable to use other shelters. Xiao Li Li has more.
On any given night, the beds at Grace Place are full. That's because since October 22nd, this Southside church has also served as one of the city's newest emergency shelters. Working with Shelter House, the Salvation Army, and several other community organizations, Out from the Cold is providing a much-needed third option for anybody looking for a bed.
We're at capacities most nights because of this, the overflow and then the people that can't access the shelter. So we're at capacity every night, and we could use more beds than 10 for sure.
Since late October, the Ontario Trillium Foundation and Federal Homelessness Strategy have been funding Out from the Cold, which provides 10 emergency beds for those who can't use other shelters. Grace Place also provides clean clothes and food for those in need. The pilot costs around $132,000, which will fund the spaces until March 31st. However, in the weeks since the pilot's launch, demand has been overwhelming.
Yeah, these 10 beds are definitely filled up every night. There are people that need to be turned away from this program, unfortunately. But this program is making a big difference, especially for those few individuals in the city, as I said, that are unable to access any other shelter services overnight.
Pastor Gary Maximchuk says there are many reasons people may have been turned away from existing shelters, including violence, substance abuse, or capacity issues. But Maximchuk says there haven't been any issues at Grace Place.
We have an excellent staff, and they do a wonderful job where we do an intake process and we bring them in, and then they're able to eat, and then shortly after that they end up going to sleep.
Out from the Cold runs 7 nights a week from 9 at night to about 8 in the morning. While the pilot is funded through March, Grace Place says it always welcomes donations from the public, especially of warm mittens, socks, and winter pajamas. Shaoli Lee, TBT News.
The Fort William BIA is moving to amend its 2017 budget after miscommunication between them and City Council left many of their businesses facing tax levy increases of upwards to 40%. The amendment would take the budget from $164,000 back down to the BIA's normal operating rate of $120,000. Over 150 businesses were affected when the rates skyrocketed in November. BIA Chair Rachel Reed says she hopes when all is said and done, affected businesses will get their money back.
I certainly don't want, my rent to go up just like everybody else's, and just to see how we would be able to amend this without having to, without the membership, without having any cost go back to the membership.
The BIA will meet with City Council on January 19th to request the amendment be approved. If it is, refunds will be issued or excess payments will be subtracted from their overall tax bill at the end of 2018.
A new report is out on the state of Thunder Bay's housing market, and it shows residential home values continue to climb. That information is contained in the RE/MAX 2018 Housing Market Outlook Report. Among the key findings of the report, the average sale price of homes in Thunder Bay in 2017 topped $252,000. That's an increase of 8% from 2016. The market was being driven by young families who were mainly first-time buyers entering the market who were looking for both single detached homes and condominiums. On the downside, demand for higher-end homes fell. The report attributes that to lower demand from Thunder Bay's aging population. And the report goes on to predict that residential sale prices will remain stable in 2018.
Meanwhile, the provincial government has put the finishing touches on a new rebate program for homeowners. It's one that uses funding from cap and trade taxes that will allow participants to make energy efficiency upgrades to their homes. Paul Bliss has details.
You've been thinking about it for years. Now, installing new windows has just become more affordable.
If you have a leaky, old, inefficient window, this is a program that you can take advantage of. $500 per window for a high-performance window, up to 10 windows per home.
The Minister of Environment and Climate Change unveiled new rebates from the Green Ontario Fund. Here's your shopping list from the website greenon.ca. Up to $7,200 off new insulation, $100 rebate for air sealing, $1,500 for attics, $1,900 basements, $3,800 for insulation on exterior walls. Up to $5,000 in rebates for replacement windows that meet requirements, $20,000 for Energy Star certified ground source heat pumps, $5,800 off air source heat pumps, and $100 for smart thermostat installed.
Millions of old and drafty windows in Ontario are screaming for change, but beware, only top-rated windows qualify for these rebates.
The money for the rebates is coming from the cap and trade taxes you pay on things like gasoline and home heating fuel. So far, Ontario's raised $1.9 billion from cap and trade. The government's giving some of the money back for energy efficiency programs like this.
It's really making Ontario homeowners be able to save money and fight climate change.
The minister says they've been overwhelmed with the demand for 100,000 free smart thermostats offered just months ago, so now they're upping the giveaway to 140,000, installed in your home for free by trained technicians.
Paul Bliss, CTV News.
Ontario teens are drinking, smoking, and using recreational drugs less, but some have admitted to taking the opioid fentanyl. That's according to a new survey by the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health. It found almost 1% of grades 7 to 12 students had tried it, and although it may not sound like a lot, it actually works out to about 5,800 students across the province. This is the first time in the survey's 40-year history that teens have been asked about fentanyl use. The survey also found that drinking, smoking, and recreational drug use is at its lowest level amongst teens since the late 1970s.
An inquest has been scheduled into the death of a 37-year-old woman on the Wegamout Lake First Nation. In June of 2012, Ida Madawa Pitt died at the community's nursing station after being transferred from a police vehicle while in custody. The inquest is scheduled to begin on February 12th in Sioux Lookout and last for 6 days.
Wasaya Airways is making a one-of-a-kind offer to experienced pilots who joined the company this month. Every new hire before December 31st will be put into a pay grade based on their experience. Wasaya says it's standard practice for pilots joining a new carrier to start at the bottom of the pay and benefits scale regardless of experience. However, across the industry, competition for pilots is fierce. Wasaya and the Airline Pilots Association have now signed a letter of agreement saying Wasaya will bypass that pay scale drop for new hires. Pilots say fair compensation, along with the work-life balance offered by Wasaya, are big draws.
It's a stress-free commute to work. It's your home most nights. Our pilots don't have to go away on lengthy pairings and stay in hotels and stuff like that. There is a little bit of that happens here, but for the most part, pilots are home most nights with their family.
We've been working with the pilots union to try to find ways to bring experienced people on and not just go with low-time people who are fresh to the industry, and that enhances our safety as well.
Any pilots interested in taking Wasaya up on the offer can apply on the company website.
Well, despite the recent frigid temperatures, local skaters and hockey players will have to wait at least another week for the city's outdoor rinks to open. City staff are working to get the rinks flooded and ready to open as soon as possible. Thunder Bay has 37 outdoor skating sites encompassing 58 boarded rinks and skating ponds. City Parks manager Corey Halverson says the cold weather of the late has helped the situation, but they still need a few inches of ice in order to open up.
It's really about building up that base level of ice so that we can have it safe for all users. So that's our primary concern. We want it to be functional and safe. And then beyond that, the more base level ice we have, the better it can withstand the odd warm day.
Halverson expects all of Thunder Bay's city-maintained outdoor rinks to be open next weekend, just in time for the winter break for school kids.
Well, a lack of manpower has at least one local charity feeling the crunch. The Salvation Army says a lack of volunteers has left them well behind the fundraising pace they set last year. At this point in 2016, the Salvation Army had nearly $10,000 more than the current total for their Christmas Kettle campaign. And as mentioned, the big problem, not enough volunteers. The organization says it's lost out on a total of 128 hours worth of possible giving time. But campaign staff believe they will still meet their $200,000 Christmas Kettle goal.
We find that Thunder Bay is a last-minute town, so we're really counting on everybody digging deep in the last 8 days of the campaign. Also, we have we've had a few holes where we didn't get volunteers to man the kettles, so then that means we have to take them away for those hours, and so that obviously means that there's no money going into them if there's nobody standing there.
The Salvation Army is urging anyone with spare time to seek them out and man one of their 9 kettles throughout the city.
Boys and girls at the underground gym on Simpson Street continued an annual Christmas tradition last night. The kids participated in a gingerbread house building competition. Over 30 kids took part in the construction and decoration of the gingerbread houses. Prizes went out to the first, second, and third place finishers. This was the 5th consecutive year the gym has created gingerbread houses, attracting more and more kids each December. The gym itself provides free access to multiple activities for youth aged 4 to 17. Volunteer Jennifer Raukula and owner Peter Panetta say the gym's a great place for kids.
The underground gym is integral to the kids in this community, and it's a very important part, and it's a very important hub and a place of support for them.
We go bowling, horseback riding, paintball, there's tons of activities that go on. And then in the summer we went camping, went hiking, swimming. So we're busy in positive activities.
In order for those activities to continue, Panetta relies heavily on donations from businesses and supporters throughout the city. They're currently trying to raise money to replace their 12-seater van, which broke down a few months ago. The gym is a registered charity, and anyone looking to make a donation can visit the Underground Gym or their website.
A lot of great work going on over there. Saw a lot of kids doing as much eating as